The quick into NLP, and remember we discussed about this Jedi type looking chap, and we asked how NLP works, and we basically said it lets you model or copy human excellence in any form. So if I know your code, I can produce the same results as you, and if we could define the code specifically and confirm exactly what the code is, then we can shrink it down, make it more lean, and basically teach it to others. That's the most extraordinary part. Then we went on to establishing rapport. Remember, I used a volunteer. We got into twos, and then we established how you wanted to breathe in the same rhythm as the person, as if they are breathing. Okay, so it wasn't it wasn't mimicking them, it was more flowing with them, and basically using the same words and everything that we had. And then we broke rapport instantly by mismatching everything, mismatching words, rhythm, tonality, breathing, posture, and body language. And then we went on to sensory acuity, and you are only as good as the information that you own. Gathering the right information is key for sensory acuity. And we did some exercises where we established people's communication style, and we knew who was kinesthetic, visual, auditory, and audio digital or logic. And these things were actually quite fascinating to see. A lot of realizations came true to many people, and basically we went on from there. And then remember, we went on to the SPSP, your Sensory Perceptual Strategy program, and that is basically what specific type you are. And this is actually part and parcel of your own code, how you communicate with yourself. Remember the diagram I showed you? Auditory person, I hear what you're saying, and the other guy, a visual person, is saying, I don't see what you mean. Notice the words that they're using, and the chap with the glasses is saying, do you feel the way I feel? And she's saying he's not making logical sense. The key here is to be like, that guy from X-Men when he could speak to everyone according to their own language. And that's basically where your bosses will come down to see you. Children will understand what you mean in the least amount of words that you say, and your negotiations will become much more faster, much more effortless, allow you to utilize your time, words, language more efficiently. Okay, and then we went on to eye accessing cues. Remember, the eye movements indicate how a person is thinking, and often the person themselves will not be aware of how they are thinking, i.e. their eyes are moving. And then remember, we used a volunteer to demonstrate this. And although, to be fair, the volunteer that we used, her eyes were very fast, but she did glance at these specific areas when we asked her about remembering visual thing, auditory thing, and feeling something. Okay, then we popped into anchoring, which was the amazing classroom demo. Then remember, I said music, smells, voices, faces, advertising campaigns. We are being used as anchors as it is, so why not use it to our specific need, and use this process of association to basically get us in a desired state that we prefer to be in. So we basically then can focus awareness and re-access cognitive knowledge and internal states, connect experiences together in order to enrich meaning, consolidate knowledge, transfer learning and our experiences to other contexts. And what we want to ideally do is get away from this fear, rejection, anger, hate, sadness. Anchors are anchors, positives or negatives, and remember, we basically stated this with regards to anchors, and don't spill that drink, don't fall off. Those are spoken words. Our conscious mind is the blue, and in red is our subconscious mind. This is how we take things in. Then I demonstrated an anchor on John, and that was quite interesting. Remember, we got him to pick a memory with strong feelings attached to it. We associated it to relieve the memory by seeing it through their own eyes. We didn't need to go through that stage because he was already there. He was quite intense about his feelings. He was there, and he kept expressing it as himself, so he saw it through his own eyes. And then I anchored another feeling of positiveness within him when the emotion was at its peak. Then we tested it, then we repeated it, and ideally we're supposed to repeat it 3-4 times, but this was the actual scenario, what we went through. Think of a time when you're totally not relaxed, but we actually used his anxiety period. And basically what the idea is to use the terminology I turn. The intensity, the more intense the memory you use for the anchor, the more powerful the anchor will be. The timing is very specific, as you can see, 5 to 15 seconds at the peak point. The best way to get your timing right is to run through the memory once before setting an anchor, and then note where the emotions peak. Then remember, I spoke to John first of all, asked him about the whole thing, and then I went on to the anchoring process. Then uniqueness of the I turn. This refers to the uniqueness of the stimulus, meaning that you want a unique trigger that you're going to set off. Unique touch, unique rub, unique feel. I specifically touched a point on his hand. This simply means that you should be able to replicate the anchor the same way you created it. And then finally, on the end part of it is the number of times. The more times you stack what they call stack the anchor, meaning that you press on another anchor, another emotion, put on top of it, another emotion, so you stack emotions on, the better. And unfortunately we didn't have time in the class, but as you can see already, John's state started to change, and this is what we basically used. Then we went on to modelling. Modelling is being able to look at what works and what doesn't. Remember the code thing I spoke about earlier? That's basically what this is. Then taking steps to achieve the same exact result. We figure out what works, make it easy to do and easy to learn. We then use feedback to continue to check and make sure that we are still achieving the result. Now, there's 3 things here. There's a belief system, what they believe possible to do, blah, blah, blah. There's a mental syntax, the programming, and there's a physiology, the body, how breathe, how they hold, how they do things. Now these 1, 2, 3 are exactly this. It's the 1, which is the values, beliefs, decisions, memories. 2 is the filters, delete, distort, generalize, and metaprograms. And 3 was the physiology. And that was basically the external events, internal representation that goes into it, puts you in a state, your physiology changes and your behavior outputs. And that's basically how people are programmed and how you can model the same results that other people can get. Then we jumped on to logical levels as an extra. Now, certain types of levels, and level 1 was the association. You are who you associate with. Level 2 was the behavior. Level 3 was the capability. Level 4 was the values, beliefs and how they drive us. Level 5 was our own self-image, our identity, and it was basically stacked like this: identity, beliefs and values, capabilities, behavior and environment. Now these 5 levels were then expanded into a scenario, which we then basically went on to the environment. Okay, so then the environment goes, must be obtained by, if you want to get somewhere, what environment must I be in to obtain my ideal personality to where I want to go? So what behaviors must I acquire to be my ideal? You know, you've got one perspective ideal that you want to be, you want to achieve. So how would one act in that place? And then the attitude comes in. What must my attitude be like to stay with that my ideal character? And then the beliefs will come in. You know, what values and beliefs would I need to appropriate to become my ideal? The state. Which state would I need to be in to be or stay in my ideal? And then skills come into play. what skills would I need to gain the capabilities that I need to reach my ideal? Now, capabilities and skills, obviously it's one, as you can see from the ring, and that's basically what we covered on Insight to NLP. Of course, there is much more in the world of NLP than you think, or than I have managed to put towards yourself, but it does make you think, is this for real? But some of the stuff that goes on, it's quite amazing. Fantastic results, and that's why NLP's reputation has increased so much more than any other psychology that I have known. Okay, thank you very much and have a good day.